Proto-Indo-European did not have a writing system. And the way that we often represent Proto-Indo-European in the Latin script can be undesirable, maybe. Not accurate to how the speakers thought of their language, right? So what I did was I went ahead and I made a Proto-Indo-European writing system. I made an abugida for Proto-Indo-European that only represents 3 vowels. Proto-Indo-European only had 2, but was kind of a vowel. It's complicated, but it only represents 3 vowels. The syllabic resonance of e and u from ya and wa are represented by adding the syllabic resonance diacritic underneath ya and wa, the same as you would with or or all of those sorts of things, right? So it theoretically represents the way that they thought about their language. The labial sounds I chose to represent with a square. The thinking was that it kind of looks like your mouth. And then the nasals are represented by putting a dot in the middle. The voiced are represented by putting a line. And then, until you get to the whole velars section, don't worry about that yet. And the voiced aspirated I chose to represent with the line, but also with a dot above it. So ma, na, ba, da, ba, da, pa, da, all very simple and easy to understand. Then, taking the square to represent the mouth thing, we can go over to gua, gua, and gua, and we can see that we have the velar surrounded by the square of the labial. But then you look at, for example, the voiced labial velar, gua, and we see 2 dots at the ends, and then we look at the aspirated version and we see 2 dots at the ends and a dot above it. This is just true of all of the velars because I couldn't exactly draw a line through the middle because of gya, kya, gya, that sort of thing. So the way I chose to represent it was with 2 dots at the ends. We move over below the plosives now. We go to sa and ha, ra, and ra, which are the only fricatives in Proto-Indo-European. People usually like to say there's only one fricative in Proto-Indo-European. It depends on how you consider the laryngeals, because the laryngeals could be plosives, and if they're plosives, then it's true that there's only one fricative. But if they're fricative laryngeals, or fricative back sounds, then there are 4 fricatives. I chose to represent them as fricatives because I usually interpret them as being fricatives. Ha, ra, and ra. So we see that we take the s one and we add different diacritics. So 2 dots at, above and below on the right side for ha, a dot below for ha, and a dot to the left for hua. We go to and and we see that is just a rotated version of s, and we look at and it's 3 dots. And the reason for that is because of, if we look here below it, we see ya and wa, and we have 3 dots above the kya and 3 dots above the gua to represent it. So it's sort of the same thing where it's like these 3 dots in this sort of triangle shape represents this approximate sort of sound. We go to the vowels. We have e, which is a dot below, o, which is 2 dots to the right, e and o, which is the same thing but with a dot to the left, a dot to the upper left to represent long vowel. And then we go to and as being sort of questionable phonemes, I just sort of I tried to make it as much like a as I could. So I just, without making it the exact same, so I just put it to the right, because I know that you will find situations in which is put into a Proto-Indo-European word, and it definitely could have been a phoneme, but I know that people tend to think that there was only a and o, and that only occurred in loan words, or only occurred later. So I wanted to leave that open. So it's at least at the time I made it, I know it's not very similar to a, but at the time I made it, the goal was that it was basically just a, but shifted to the right a little. And it ended up looking totally different, but that's fine. And then we have the syllabic resonance diacritic, which represents that the sound that you're looking at, the consonant that you're looking at, isn't being pronounced as a consonant, it's being pronounced as a vowel. So if you take y, for example, and you add this syllabic resonance underneath it, you get e. And that fits with how Indo-Europeans probably thought about their language, which was that e and u aren't separate vowels, but they're just the syllabic resonance versions of ya and wa, because they appear in zero grades. And zero grade means that there's no vowel. So if they thought of e and u as vowels, then they wouldn't have put that there. They would have put something like or n or and they didn't. So then there are some examples, right? This one with the horse to the side is a much longer text than this other one, which doesn't have any drawing. This is just 3 words, while the other one is like 9, I think. If you want to look at the PIE chart here, and then look at the horse one, and pause the video or something and try to read it. And then this is the other one. Try to read that if you wanted to. I think that when transcribing Proto-Indo-European, I don't think this is going to be useful. But if you're going to make like a video where you're talking Proto-Indo-European, or you want to represent Proto-Indo-European words in a cool way in a video, or in a picture or something, if you wanted to teach someone Proto-Indo-European like as a language, like if you wanted to learn it as a language or teach it to someone as a language, probably learn it first, because no living speakers of Proto-Indo-European are around. But you know what I'm saying. If you wanted to learn it or have a writing system for it or something like that, instead of using the Latin alphabet, which doesn't really support it very well, or Devanagari, which probably supports it a little better, but I doubt supports it very well. This would be a system that you could use to represent Proto-Indo-European while you're trying to speak it, while you're trying to write it, and even if no one uses it, it was a cool thing to do, and I liked doing it, and I liked sharing it with you. So thank you for watching. I like to do linguistic stuff sometimes, so if you like linguistic stuff, consider subscribing. I have like 3 conlanging videos that I haven't even started editing because I hate the sound of my own voice. But yeah, that's it.